need to do, okay. I was going to say you need to do something like 5, 4.
Yeah. And welcome to our 4th episode of To the Woods. And 4 and 4. We are very fortunate to have Kelly with us today. And Kelly, do us, I suppose, do everyone a favor. I certainly know all that you do, and so many people out there that are friends, mutual friends of ours who are going to see this know already. But there are people out there that perhaps don't realize, who you are and what you do within our hunting and angling heritage community. Just give us a little rundown about some of the things you've done.
Well, that's a big amp up, Travis. So,
I know.
Joe, really.
It's a lot of hats.
It's a lot of hats. So I'm the current president of the Nova Scotia Women That Hunt, and mother of 4, full-time working mom, diehard volunteer, entrepreneur by heart, and so are pretty much all the board members of the Women That Hunt too. Right. So yeah.
As far as your hunting and angling experience, that's, I think, one of the things I don't know. I'm going to use the word admire the most about you. Is that you're one of the women within the Women That Hunt that sort of set out on this path to go, hey, why aren't we out there enjoying this the same way? And you kind of really sort of pushed some of your own boundaries and
big time
and made that happen. And now, so many others, whether male, female, kids, youth, are seeing that modeled and saying, hey, why not me too? So how did that kind of come to be?
Well, if you were to have asked me 10 years ago, and told me that I'm going to be where I am today, I wouldn't have believed you. So I was always, my husband is a hunter, and I've always been a supporter of him. It was kind of like he never asked me to go, and I never asked to go, because that was his thing with the fellas. They went away. It was always like out west, never like local. He never hunted around the house or anything. And so it came about to me within a group of women that said, do you hunt? No, why not? Because our house has trophies, not trophies, but trophies of his hunt, of his hunts. And so the whole idea was, so, we planned it out. I took my courses, thought, why not?
Sure.
And then I'd be that person that says, I don't know if I can pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we meet people at trade shows and they say, oh, I don't know if I could pull the trigger, I'm like, I was that person. Up until the moment when the guide put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, when you're ready, and that moment of truth. And I really sat there and thought, I don't know if I can do this. And it was a bear hunt. So it was just a kind of a do or die situation for me. So I did it. I followed through. I took the shot. I made the shot. And then it's like a switch went off. So that was a short time ago, like in the span of where I am today. It was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've expedited my journey to catch up to a lot of people that are more experienced than I am. So,
I'm a similar. I have some similar stories. I grew up hunting with my father and uncles and that kind of stuff, and then kind of fell away from it when I was at university, and then had kids and that. And there was something about, and this is me personally, I'm just not anti-gun in any way, shape, or form, and I always try to say that, but I'm not a gun guy. And I mean, you can see that they got the bows all hanging behind me. It wasn't until I found archery that I realized, oh, and then the switch went off. And then, like you're saying, all of a sudden it was 40 days in the woods that year. and you expedite everything. What was your first year like? Like after having the bear, what were you doing? Like how did that get expedited?
Well, when you say that you're not necessarily a gun person, my first hunt was actually a crossbow because I didn't think that I was a gun person. And the bow really appealed to me
Right.
when I was learning, but I was really not confident enough to actually consider hunting with like a compound bow or a recurve bow. So I kind of met myself in the middle and thought crossbow. So, that was my first hunt. But after that, it was kind of like I had this craving to do and learn more. And because I loved it so much, it was very easy for my husband and I to do stuff together because that's something he's loved to do for such a long time.
Yeah.
And it became this, thing where, oh, well, we can go do that together and we can go do that together. So the hunts started to build because it was how him and I would spend our recreation time. We were never ones to go like, down south to Mexico or take those types of trips. So it very quickly became hunting trips that the two of us take together and still do. And now we focus yearly on what is our big trip going to be. So I think in 5 years, I have probably done some hunts that would be on bucket lists for people, more because I'm fortunate to have the support that I have and the connections that I have to actually see it through. Like I've been to BC on an elk hunt, and for people that live here, that's an ultimate. I've been to Maine many times on wild turkey hunts, and for some, that's a bucket list hunt, and I could see why, because they're really a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Kelly, I know that the video is kind of going a little funny, and I don't want to stop the interview in that, but I'm see, now it's starting to go clear again. Do you want to leave the video on, or how do you feel about that? Because every once in a while, we discuss this a little bit. Every once in a while, you're kind of like, I just want to be truthful with you. If you're okay with it, then so am I, of course. But I just want to kind of be fair and objectionable and make sure that you don't take me on a hunt myself sometime because of something I posted. So everything looks fine as far as I'm concerned, but I want to be sure that you can kind of be aware. That's all.
It would probably work better if I kick everybody off the internet here at my house.
That I understand, but you're a mom, and how many are 3 still home?
Yes, yeah. And with probably all on the internet with 2 devices each.
It's a simultaneous screen time. Yeah, I know all about it.
Yeah. Okay,
so that kind of leads me, knowing that you have your partner, your husband, who is very supportive, and you guys get to do all of that hunting together. You're very fortunate then to have an in-home mentor.
Big time.
Right? And this is something that you and I have had so many discussions over the 5+ years that we've known each other about mentoring and mentoring programs. And I know that we've got NOAaH now here, which is a mentor-mentee program that the Women That Hunt, in conjunction with the Federation, have put together. But in no small part, I just want to be very clear that the Women That Hunt and Kelly and Mary and so many others at Women That Hunt were the driving force behind NOAaH, and really only came to us at the Federation when, specifics perhaps were needed, or, and we were very happy to support them in that. But yeah, can't take that away from all of you at the Women That Hunt. And the program is, in my opinion, working very, very well. With that, when we talk about mentoring, I don't want this to so much be a pitch for NOAaH, although it always is, and I always am, no matter where I go. I know that I've recently picked up another mentee, and I have some paperwork that's my fault, because I wasn't quite ready for the youth thing. So I have some paperwork I have to take care of, and that's on me, and I will get that done so I can take on another. But the importance of mentoring within the hunting and angling community, at one time, it wasn't very hard to just find an uncle that would take you out hunting when you turn 16, right? What have you been finding, because you get to work so much with the women that hunt, around people new to hunting? It's not just women, it's not just kids. I mean, it's men of all ages as well. Everybody's looking for a mentor, it appears. What have you found? What have you found with that? Like, how is the demographics working?
There's a lot of men, actually, more than women right now in the NOAaH registry as a registrant. One thing I think not to push NOAaH, but educate, I think is a word about NOAaH. So it's very much still in its infant stage, because it takes a balance between applicants to make those matches. So we need mentors as much as we need mentees applying to make balance and match. But I feel I've come across like misconceptions about NOAaH, because we're a small organization that it's our baby. So it kind of came about because we go to a lot of trade shows like every other organization, and we talk to somebody who would be like, oh, I just love to get out fishing, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, someone else would go by and say, I have a pond in my backyard and I would love to take somebody out fishing. And it was kind of like that eureka moment, right? Where we were like, we're just trying to make a connection. But what I find is there's a lot of mentor programs going on within organizations.
Agreed.
So, yes. So it's not that we're trying to take away from that. In fact, we're trying to help build it. So I'm going to use my good friends, the Trappers, because they have an amazing mentor program. So you have the Trappers organization, and anybody within the Trappers group, they can do that mentor. But what about this person that lives over here, right, that has no connection or even interest in becoming a trapping member, right? So what NOAaH is meant to do is to make this, tell it like this connection and say, we can put you over here without that commitment, or there might be somebody in your area from that organization that we're trying to connect the dots, not just to our organization, but for every organization. And that's kind of why the idea of working with the Federation, because the Federation, represents all the organizations. That was the feel. And, you have these little pilot groups of organizations everywhere. So even for us, as an example, as a nonprofit in this area, our reach is only so far. If I didn't work full time, and if I wasn't a hockey mom, and if I didn't have, 4 kids, I could be mentoring somebody every day.
Yes.
But and I'm a volunteer. So there's a quality of life there.
Yep.
So our reach is limited as much as we want to get out and help people.
Yep.
So the idea is to take you and somebody else that lives in your area, because I live way over here, and to connect you, right? And it's about bringing everybody and every mentor program. So it's about growing the Trappers mentor program. It's about growing the bow mentor program. It's about growing everybody. We're not trying to take away from it. We're trying to help build it. And that's the message I think that's being lost sometimes,
right?
Is people look at it and think that that's the Women That Hunt mentor program. No, it's empowered by us. We're the behind the scenes people. But it's very much about the province of Nova Scotia, right?
And I as a mentor, have gone into the NOAaH database or registry. I'm sorry, that's probably the better word. Haven't gone into the registry. What I find interesting is like you said, the Trappers have a wonderful mentor program that they had, and they might have reached out because they have trappers around the province and that sort of thing. But it was only if you were looking to get into trapping that particular mentor ended up getting someone to mentor. But if that mentor, that trapper, is an avid hunter, an avid angler, and an avid, he can put his name into the NOAaH registry as a mentor.
Yep.
And certainly anybody who's looking to get a hold of trapping, he checks, I'll teach you how to trap. But he may also say, I'm also an avid bow hunter. So if you happen to be not looking for something to trapping, maybe I can help you learn how to bow hunt or fish, or there are so many wonderful, because many mentors have not just sort of one area of expertise, if you will, or one area of experience, that they have multiples. And I believe that NOAaH, that's kind of where that works. It broadens everybody's opportunities for good matches and good opportunities to find mentees that they can take out and grow our community, which is what it's all about.
You're a good example. So, you're part of the NOAaH registry, and you applied, for traditional bow and bow hunting, big game animals, right?
Yep.
So anybody that we've matched you up with, you're matched obviously in those areas, but we give you a list of all the other things that they're really interested in, because you also fish. You didn't put yourself down as a mentor for that, but that gives you something in common that you can go on and expand on. And that's kind of why it's so important to get all that information, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I do, again, as a mentor in the registry and getting information about the mentees once everything's matched up and agreed upon, and it's all done appropriately. That's the other thing I kind of like about it. It's not sort of show up at a spot and meet someone and say, okay, I'll teach you this, and this. There's some serious thought put into how the applications are put together to match people up. But it is one of those things that I can talk and teach an awful lot about bow hunting big game while fishing trout.
Exactly.
Like most of my scouting in the spring and summer is while I'm fishing. So why wouldn't you take a mentee with you if they had an interest in the trout fishing as well, right? So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What, and we've talked about this before. So, any idea why it is that it can be tough to get mentors to register?
Well, I mean, COVID's played a big part in slowing the process down.
Yep.
I think people, not everybody's volunteer. Like people, their time is valuable, and I just feel some people don't want to commit. But also too, I feel that some people are resistant because they don't feel that they have the skill set to be a mentor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
I would hope that people think, like, I've only been doing this for 5 years. So I'm a mentor for crossbow, because that's my first thing. And I've studied it enough to pass on what I know. And from there, that person who I'm passing it on to can grow from there, or we can grow together, right? I put myself down as a mentor for sporting clays. I've really only shot this summer sporting clays, but Kim and I have gone out, Lynn and I have gone out, the women that hunt have gone out every Wednesday or every Thursday, every Sunday for a good portion. I'm not saying I am the know-all and be-all, far from it. I have a huge thing to learn, but I know enough at this point that I can say, this is how you hold a firearm. And, this is what works for me. I mean, if you saw Kim and Lynn and I out on the course, we critique each other so much that it's really just about making somebody feel comfortable enough to come out and experience it, and hopefully love it enough to want to go. And then what's so great about that facility is, if we're in a situation where we don't know the answer, we can say there are people here, and then we would connect you with somebody who knows way more than we do. So you don't have to be an expert, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. You just have to know enough to feel comfortable. You're not coming out and getting a certificate in rifle shooting. You're just coming out to have some camaraderie and some exposure. And, what we're really trying to control is that it's done ethically, it's done legally, not bad habits, stuff like that is what we really try to screen through.
Yeah. I think what us maybe grew up with hunting parents or uncles or whomever that mentored us, because that's what they did. They mentored us. May not be the terminology that we used at the time, but that's what they were doing. What we don't realize is that without someone to talk to about it, to sort of ask questions, even if the answers aren't, expert answers, it's a conversation, and together you can find the answers, because you as a mentor likely know where to find that answer. Even though you may not know the answer, you can with the other person and help them find those answers. And actually, I've always said this about, and I've been a martial arts instructor or was a martial arts instructor in a past life, depends how you look at it. Teaching the basics over and over and over again is what made me a good martial artist. And teaching the basics over and over again of hunting is going to make you a better hunter. I believe that truthfully. Basics are best. You don't have to be somebody who is able to explain, like perhaps your husband could, the rotation of the earth and the bullet goes in the wind, right. That kind of stuff. It's incredible to know that stuff, but it's not necessary to get somebody out comfortable and safe hunting and fishing and giving them those experiences. And then once they have that foot in the door, they'll feel that much more comfortable about going and looking themselves for additional information, right? You're just trying to get them through the door, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, okay, so if I'm matched up, if I take a lady to the range, and we're shooting a 100-meter range, and then all of a sudden, he or she says, well, how do you shoot to 200 or how do you shoot to 300? Well, I'm gonna teach you what I know based on what I've learned. But then I would say, let's you and I go to somebody who knows more than me, a subject matter expert. So I would say to my husband, can you take us out? Right. That's kind of, and I think that's where the resistance is of people signing up as a mentor, is they don't feel confident enough to feel they have enough to pass along. But it's really just, it's making that connection and building a network. Yeah.
No, I agree. And I actually had posted something earlier today. Anytime I come across articles on mentoring and some of the other bigger, what do we say? Not-for-profits, I guess, out of the States, deer management, these kind of spots. They always have such wonderful articles that they put out. And if we can rip it off and use it here in Nova Scotia, I'm all for it. So I'm all over that. So I like to hear that kind of stuff. And it was about the article kind of really said, how important mentoring is. The demand for mentors right now does seem to be high, but the demand for volunteers for anything, because our time is so valuable. But if you get to go out and you get to help somebody cross over, I think you'll find your time was well spent.
Oh, I mean, the part of the reason why we're, you still have people involved in Women That Hunt at the executive level and at the board level is just because of the feeling that we get, the great feelings we get when we make something like that happen.
Yeah.
Like we took, like Kim and I went over to the PEI Delta Waterfowl Sporting Clay competition. It was a fundraiser.
Yep.
And we just said, let's pack up and go. So we went and we met a WTH member over there. She's from PEI, lovely lady. We stayed at her house And we asked her to come, and she's like, I've never shot before. And we had so much fun. And while we were at the range, we were making connections for her so that when we left, she has somebody to reach out to hopefully
Yep.
she went out again, or she's going to go out again, because, you know, you leave feeling, you know, like we did some good that day. So,
yeah. And that's it. And if I remember correctly, I believe there may have been comments about your group perhaps having the most fun of all the groups that were shooting that day. I think I may have read something like that. I'm not sure.
The best story is, and I have to share this, and the people that were with me would say the same. We had never gone sporting clay, sport shooting before. I can't even talk. And we had just met the Beretta rep, who were so fortunate. We have some amazing sponsors. So we just met the Beretta rep. And he said, you girls should put a team together and come to the next competition. It's at Fox Harbor. It'll be a lot of fun. So we're like, okay. So, you know, there was Kim, there was myself, there was Lynn, my daughter, Georgia, Crystal, Elena. So 6 of us went, and we brought our hunting firearm, like our hunting shotguns, and we get there only to find out that I think it's the Eastern Championships, like with George Digweed there, who designed the course, you know, 27-time world champion. And we show up in our camo and our hunting guns, and we thought, you know, what the hell, we'll go out. So we go out, and it's just us as a group. We thought, why not? And we really didn't know a lot, so we were just kind of coaching one another. I wouldn't even say coaching, just like patting each other on the back, going, you get up there, good job. And we must have gone, yeah. We must have gone, always a smile on our face. So we probably gone 3 or 4 stations without hitting. Like, we were still learning how to work the stations. Anyway, I think it was Lynn who smashed the first clay, and we screamed. And apparently that's not, you know, course etiquette. And then George Digweed came driving around on a golf cart. And God love the man. He stayed with us, and he coached us. And I always jokingly said we were playing best ball, because this was our first time out ever. And I always compare it to, like, you know, you decide that you're going to start running, and you just decide to try out for the Olympics. And that's how that rolled out. But everybody was very welcoming, and we met a lot of amazing people that we are still in touch with to this day. And and it's just progressed from there. And it's not like we gave up. The whole point wasn't to go and embarrass ourselves. It was about showing people that not go because you're afraid, but just to take that initial step and kind of say, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, women that's what it stands
WTH.
for. WTH. We know it's grammatically incorrect. What the hell? We are going to go and try this.
Yeah.
So we did.
And it's funny, because I ended up having a conversation with Melanie Lafleur, who's the president of the Archery Nova Scotia. And I talked about 3D archery, and I said, why is it, in her opinion, that we don't see more bow hunters going to, because there are so many more bow hunter licenses sold than there are the number of archers that are going to some of these tournaments. And I mean, for the cost, you know, $30, why wouldn't you go and enjoy a fun day shooting 40 targets? And you know, I ended up having a gentleman comment on the YouTube video after I posted it that, you know, he didn't think that he belonged shooting with archers of that caliber. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, definitely hasn't been to a shoot, because we're hooting and hollering and having a great time. And although it is competitive, the 3D archery is very much meant to be fun. And the best shooter generally wins. That's just the way those things tend to work. But everybody else is having a great time and improving. And it
Right.
just goes to show. Sometimes all it takes is just to show up to realize I'm not that different from anybody else that's already doing this. Yeah,
Granted, go
ahead.
We walked into that competition blind, and I often question myself, would I have gone if I had known the caliber? And I could probably say I would have been extremely resistant to going, but I'm glad I went in blind because it was an amazing experience. So I think people just have to get over that initial intimidation and just go knowing they're just going to learn and have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I agree with you 100% on that. We've kind of gone to our half hour, so we're going to kind of just not wrap it up, but I'm going to sort of ask a few different things and see how, with NOAaH, I know that COVID has been, and it's been for everyone. It's been horrible for organizations and meetings and trying to get some of the socials together and courses. NOAaH is that NOAaH Registry. You can go online. It's one of those things that it's not just about one-on-one mentoring. There will be some sort of social type events, meaning come and learn with us as a group. Those are the types of things that you'll be advertising and that. But what should people be doing? Like, do they reach out on the website, or is there a calendar of sorts that they can keep an eye on in the new year as COVID restrictions hopefully lessen? What would we tell people who are interested in learning more about our outdoor angling and hunting heritage to do in order to try and get a hold of you guys and move forward with some of that?
So there's no calendar on NOAaH right now. Basically, when you apply, it's an online application.
Yep.
And then you get put on an email distribution list. So if there's an event that's going to come up, we partially do that because everything is free, and we are addressing the commitment that those have made that filled out the application that have shown a true interest in NOAaH. So I think you and I were going to talk about an archery event, just waiting for it to die down. Yeah. And that's how you'll find out in between your mentoring or while you're waiting to be matched. The idea is to hopefully get some events up and running in terms of that, just getting people out, meeting, maybe, do some conferences or workshops with some subject matter experts, stuff like that. So that's kind of on the agenda. Yep. Like I said, we're all volunteers, so it does take time to develop and roll out, but yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, NOAaH is very new. Infancy is the right word to use. It's I believe, I don't mind saying, I know you guys might be a little bit, but I think it's a great success already. I see what if baby steps are taken rather than great huge leaps, what NOAaH potentially could be, not only for Nova Scotia, but potentially even beyond. And again, I say with some timid, so getting too big too quick can be a little bit of a problem. But at the same time, with the right amount of support, I think NOAaH could go to great heights. And certainly one of my favorite things, any mentoring program, but the idea that it could potentially bring all mentoring programs together and help alleviate, some of the volunteer time from all of our organizations, and free up some hours that each club and organization might be doing. I don't know. It checks all the boxes for me, Kelly. It really does.
Well, it's funny because every member, we ask every member of the WTH to sign up for NOAaH. It doesn't mean you're going to be matched with a WTH member. It gives our members an opportunity to get out. like I said, because our reach is limited. And it's funny when you say how, it's growing fast, because we've actually had to take a look and step back and go, okay, we need to limit this to Nova Scotia right now, because we were getting applications from all across Canada, and we can't serve them well when they're just sitting there waiting for a match, and there's no match, there's no mentors coming in. So we've told them that, they're on the list, but for now we're trying to limit it to Nova Scotia to perfect it, so that we can work with it and perfect it. And right now we have over 30 matches across the province, which is good for, really, it's only been in its first year of growth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's kind of, again, I like small successes. I see them as some of the best steps. So, and again, I suppose I'm a bit of a positive personality too. So I see the
not at all.
Great,
Are you sure?
So, all right. Well, Kelly, I don't want to take too much longer. I'm glad that I got the chance to talk to you about this specifically. Other than that, I'm just going to ask real quick, how was your season?
Really good. I harvested a moose. Kim and I we got to go on a Newfoundland moose hunt.
Yeah.
Which maybe I could thank COVID for.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Americans were coming up.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like every mount is a trophy to me, because it's just a trophy hunt. And what I loved was Kim and I were together, and I'm going to tell the story because it's really fun. So we had Francis and Larry were our guides, and we headed out, in the dark. First day, we were so stoked. And, I went this way with Francis, Kim went that way with Larry, and our husbands were Sherpas, so they were with us. And I was coming up on my site, and all of a sudden Francis ducked down and he was like this. And I was like to my husband going this, and Brent goes, a cow? And I said, no, he sees two. So when we came over the crest, there was two bulls and they were fighting one another. Ooh. And this is like just before first light. I know, it was crazy. So then as I was getting set up, I heard a bang within minutes, and I thought, oh my God, Kim just shot, because I knew it was her, because we weren't that far. So then I set up and I shot, and then Larry and Francis were calling each other, and they were like, yeah, bull down, bull down. And so first day, first hour, Kim and I harvested. It was amazing. It was great. And our bulls were like almost twins. They were around the same size. But what I love the most was, I said to Francis when I was setting up, I'm like, it's the first day, first hour. I said, would you shoot? And he goes, oh, no. He goes, I can't answer that question. And then I said, I'd shoot that on the last day. So I am definitely shooting it now. And then afterwards he goes, if you were going to wait for a bigger one, my wife would have kicked my ass. She goes, if I came with anything bigger than that, she goes, too tough. That's the best meat right there. So no regrets whatsoever. I mean, it was amazing. And like I said, they're all trophies.
100%. As new hunter, and again, as 5 years of hunting, still all of these experiences are still new. Having rutting bull fighting, less than 100 yards over a crest from you, or these experiences are even if you didn't come home with any meat, that was a trophy hunt. That's something that you get to bring home, that experience, and these are the things that I think need to be shared more. We share them,
and that's hunting.
Yes, that's hunting.
Yeah, that's hunting.
Yep. And perhaps they need to be heard more rather than we definitely talk about it, but I think perhaps they need to be heard more. I think is maybe the way to say that. So, thank you for your time. I hope very much that you will come and speak with me again. This little idea has kind of been mulling in my brain for a little while, but being on the executive or the president of the federation, it didn't allow for a lot of time, and always had to be careful what I was going to say out loud, because one would always be, oh well, the this is me. I get to do this, just Travis.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying doing this, and I hope that you'll come back and talk to me again.
Absolutely.
I know that there's so much that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
And
to the woods, Travis.
To the woods. Exactly. I don't
To
even
the
know
woods
anymore. To the woods. Thank you.
Oh my God. That reminds me, did you see our picture Kim and I had of the Kit Kat bar on our
I most certainly did see the picture, and it was a chunky Kit Kat bar, if I remember.
It was.
Yes, I was.
I almost died. Yeah.
I was very impressed.
She pulled it out. She's like, I'm like, oh, that was such good luck.
So
yeah, it was awesome.
That's the story I'll probably have to tell at some point on this show. Is the Kit? Yeah. Well, actually, that's him right there.
Oh, okay, Kit Kat.
That's the Kit Kat bar.
No.
Call him Nemesis,
yeah.
But he's the Kit Kat.
Nemesis.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm gonna have to tell that story sometime. All right. Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Have a nice evening.
You too. Okay. All right. So it's just a few minutes after I had my conversation with Kelly, and I get to reflect a little bit and then come back and get to kind of add a little something to the end of the video. And I don't know what to add to the end of the video on this one. Mentoring is something that I believe in. I know we all believe in it as hunters and anglers, and we know that that's how we pass on to future hunters and anglers and outdoor community, our heritage and trying to keep it alive. We're shrinking a little bit. I mean, I think we're last I read, I think it was only about 4% of North Americans do any hunting. It's a little bit bigger. In Nova Scotia, that kind of rings true. We're probably somewhere between 4 and 5% by our habitat stamps, and then purchase licenses after that. We're probably somewhere about 4.6, depending on the year. Somewhere around the 40,000 mark, and we're not quite a million people in Nova Scotia. It's a little bigger for angling, but not a whole lot. That does seem to be growing, mind you. And with COVID this year, there were a lot of people fishing that perhaps hadn't fished in a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing how many licenses we sold in Nova Scotia this past fishing season, angling season. Kelly is certainly one of my favorite people to talk to. I think I've said that about everybody that I've interviewed. I enjoy, Shan. I have a friendship with Shan. I enjoy Melanie so very much, and coming from the archery community and everything that she does for archery, it needs to be applauded. Matt I would go to the woods anywhere with Matt and know the two of us were going to have a very good time. Kelly is a different type of volunteer. So very, very passionate about what she does, and her approach to trying to make things work as a volunteer is different from most, and it's very effective. Once she decides that she's going to commit to something, she's committed to it, and I admire that so much in Kelly. So this isn't to embarrass her. It is sometimes. I just feel like it's worth pointing out to who our volunteers are, and all of the women that hunt, and any volunteer deserves praise. But I want to take the opportunity to thank Kelly for all that she has done, and she will be on the show, I'm hoping, through the year a couple different times. She has an open invite. If she has something she wants to talk about, she can give me a call, and I will talk about it with her. And it can be anything. If Kelly wants to talk about it, To the Woods is going to talk about it. So that's my promise to Kelly. I hope you enjoyed this particular interview. The internet sometimes out where Kelly is in Brookfield isn't always the best, so it's going to be a little bit dicey with the image, but I feel the audio was fine, so I'm certainly going to post it up for you guys, and I think I'll probably post it up. It'll probably be a Friday or Saturday at the end of this week, whatever date that is. So thank you all very much again. I'm hoping that you're enjoying this. Reach out to me if there's anything you want to talk about, because I
I really am enjoying this. I really am. And, you know, even if I don't know you, if there's something you want to talk about or pitch, talking to me, I don't want it to be scripted. No script. Some ideas about what we're going to talk to, but we'll just kind of let it flow. All right. And put up a bunch of these. I don't care how many of these I do. If people are interested in watching them, it doesn't have to be big numbers, just has to be a few. Some of them will be better than others, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. If you are, reach out to me. To the woods.